Coming up on Nittany Game Week.
Every great team, whether I was playing or coaching, have been a part of, man, it's been player-led. They've demanded the standard and the expectation.
This player-led team features unprecedented roster turnover. Why the first goal for new coach Matt Campbell and his staff is to build a strong culture as they prep for their first season in Happy Valley.
Having conversations with all of them, I really like their vibe. Seem like really good people, and I'm really excited for the season.
Wide receiver Kobe Howard, just one of the many returning Nittany Lions, impressed with the new staff and new direction. How he's increasing the chemistry with starting QB Rocco Becht. And the Beaver Stadium revitalization plan continues. What fans will notice when they take their seats to watch the blue and white this fall. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello everyone and welcome to Nittany Game Week, show number 1 of year number 6 for the program. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. In other words, it's the same old cast of characters you can count on to help navigate a new season with a brand new coaching staff.
Old is the operative word and an accurate one.
But like I was told, it's okay to get older, just don't get old.
So it is good to see familiar faces here in the studio. Why building a culture is one of the first challenges. The offense is ready for their season debut, and a former Nittany Lion player returns to Happy Valley to guide the defense in our opening drive. We check out the practice field to see Coach Campbell. He fills the gap to force his running backs to choose a lane. We've been able to talk to a lot of the players at camp. Every one of them appreciates how the new staff cares about them as people first, players second. There's been retreats, team bonding events. Why is it so important to build a unique culture, guys?
Well, I think at the end of the day, football is a game that happens in 20-second spurts between plays, and a lot of communication has to happen. A lot of things have to synchronize, and if you have that culture and people understand each other and understand what it takes and have a commitment to something, it's a lot harder to give up or make mistakes in those situations.
One thing when you do have these things, and people forget this, the communication, you spend time with each other, you're on the practice field, but then you're gone. Everybody's going their own way. When you have these events, you'll be with somebody, you'll be there, you'll be forced to talk to them, and you'll go, geez, I didn't know that about him, or I didn't know this, and then it builds that bond, and you start developing those relationships.
You can continue to build camaraderie and competition on the practice field. Talent evaluation is a big part of the process as they search for the guys they can really rely on in crucial situations.
We're going to rotate a lot of guys. We'll play a lot of guys. I've always felt like the more guys that can have a role on your football team, the healthier your football team is. But who, when the game is on the line and it matters the most, who's in the game? Who's the guy that's in the game? And I think that's what's got to be earned right now. And I think those are things we're continuing to be after and looking at and evaluating.
Yeah, we'll soon find out which players they're going to lean on the most once the games begin.
Well, one of the big questions that happens when you have a new staff is what kind of offense are you going to run? And Tom, you can usually tell a team style by the personnel, and you look at the tight end group, the running back group, and the wideout group. They've committed to a lot of size and matchup problems.
You can, but you got to remember now, you got to be able to adapt in case of injuries, and I think that's one of the things. You got to have enough depth, and that's going to be a key. And I think this team has that depth.
Nice to have experience at the quarterback position. Redshirt senior Rocco Becht travels from Iowa State to Penn State to rejoin his coaching staff. He leaves the Cyclones after 39 consecutive starts and 26 wins, Jay.
Well, he's been a lot of fun to watch, and not only at Iowa State, but now at Penn State, having been to a practice or two. He really has the respect of the team. He's a really clever, and we'll talk about that in the scouting report coming up, about what he does in terms of being a distributor.
Well, a few of his weapons leave the Cyclones to wear the blue and white. Becht is learning a lot about his new teammates, especially sophomore wideout Kobe Howard.
What we did this summer as a team, lifting together, going to meetings together, doing dinners together, going to retreat together. We're really close right now, and closer than probably a lot of people think. And so this is a brotherhood that we've got in this locker room now, and I'm super excited for us to go out there on the field and play as one team and see how we react to wins, losses, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me and Rocco, we've developed a great relationship ever since he's been here. We're staying in a hotel and we're staying in the same room, so we are building a great bond, watching film together, building that chemistry with each other, and I feel like this year is going to be really fun.
Howard only had 7 catches in his freshman season, but 3 of them went for more than 20 yards. And you certainly want to have some explosiveness on offense. Defensively, A former Nittany Lion returns to Happy Valley to try and shut down opponents when they come to town. They're going to have some space eaters up front, Tom, to clog the middle for Danton Lynn. Why is clogging the middle so important to a quality defense?
Because it allows you to do other things with the other 9 guys and do some really things that are not, I don't want to say fancy, but they're clever. You can make some more decisions to help yourself out and be able to counteract what the other team's doing.
And again, when you have those guys inside and they force everything to go east and west rather than north and south, the speed on the back end is really impressive at Penn State. And those guys are going to run down runs that might be 2nd and 2s now become 2nd and 9s, and that changes the whole game.
Long list of NFL caliber talent along the D-line for the blue and white in their history. Lots of praise for Coach Lynn and his teaching ability, and it all starts up front.
First point of emphasis was really just beefing up the D-line, starting with inside out. So we got like 4 big guys. And, just the way we want to play on the back end, the way we want to play our backers, we need big guys that could occupy space. So just changing the way we recruit high school kids and kind of changing the way we attack the portal. And we also got bigger on edge too, but the main emphasis was inside.
It's still the same guy. He's just more open-minded about his players, understanding that he has certain guys for certain fits, and with that, we can all buy in,
Cannot wait to see the progress they've made in the opener on September 5th against Marshall. It's going to take a little while to get familiar with this 2026 team. Jay and Tom help us with the unprecedented roster turnover next. And our scouting report, more Nittany Game Week, is on the way.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State Football.
20 years ago, West Shore Home made a promise to homeowners: make home remodeling easy. To do that, we had to fix a system that had been broken for years. We had to reimagine an entire industry. So we did. We send our own employee installers, not subcontractors. Every one of them trained by us and held to our standards. One team, one mission, one promise to do it right. That's remodeling reimagined.
Honey, I'm going to the store.
We need more coffee. Don't forget, Addie needs new soccer gear. You grab the art supplies Micah needs, right?
When it feels like you're doing everything for everyone, do something for yourself with the Members First Signature Rewards Card.
Did you book the hotel?
5 stars, paid with rewards.
We are back on Nittany Game Week with a situation we've never seen before at PSU. Not quite like a large senior class that graduates and leaves a lot of holes to fill. This is unprecedented roster turnover. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, we could use some assistance, almost an introduction to the 2026 players to watch for on the field.
Well, that's what we're here to do, and thanks to my trusty iPad here, we're going to have some fun doing it. So let's talk about the college game these days, Tom. It all starts with quarterback. It's so important. Last year's 4 semifinalists had quarterbacks that all ranked in the top 15 in efficiency. How important is that?
98% of the time, he's touching that ball. so that's going to be in his hands. Yep. So you want to make sure that guy is the guy.
And Rocco Beck comes to Penn State from Iowa State, and he's going to be the distributor on this thing. He brings with him new tight ends that are tall, big guys to go with Rapplier, which creates a great tight end room for Penn State. And let's talk about how this scheme is all going to start fitting together with new wideouts that are taller. Here's a tight end. They're going to spread these guys out. You got wideouts running here. And now Rocco Beck like a point guard. Does he keep it and run? Does he pull it and throw? And you see what happens here. He throws it, gets it to Sowell, who's one of the guys coming to Penn State from Iowa State, who's got the ability to get out in the open field and make some things happen, Tom.
It's hard, but the one thing you did mention, those tight ends are not just inline guys. They can go out in space, and that creates a lot of problems for a defense, especially when you want to substitute on short yardage.
Escalon, he's going to be wearing number 4 at Penn State. Here's a nice double move on the first play of the BYU game. Great pump fake by Rocco here, gets him over the top. And Tom, you hate seeing this stuff because it changes everything you got to do on defense when they can beat you deep.
There's no doubt, especially how you attacked when you want to come up aggressively and play certain things. You get a little bit nervous.
Kobe Howard, who is a Penn State guy who stayed. He only had 7 catches last year, but really emerged at the end of the year. does a great job getting over the linebackers and between the secondary. Nice job here. And again, these are things that Matt Campbell likes in his offense, and they're looking forward to seeing what he can do. Now, the running back room is new with the top two guys gone. Quentin Martin comes back. You remember he had 100 yards against Clemson last year. Cam Wallace has looked good in camp. They had a James People from Ohio State and Carson Hansen. So let's take a look at those three of those running backs on tape. Here's Peoples. Again, does a nice job reading the blocks here. And when you get to one-on-one with the safety, that's when you know whether you got a good back or a great back, what they do with that unblocked guy, Tom.
That's their responsibility in the play. They've got to make him miss. That's who they're responsible for.
And he makes him miss, and not only that, he outruns everybody else on the field. And you're looking for those big plays that change the tempo of a game and change the way people play defense. So there's some guys you're seeing here that can really make things happen and put pressure on defensive coaches. Now, you're going to love Hansen in the red zone, especially. This is a north-south guy. Tom, you mentioned the quarterback touching the ball 98% of the time. Here's a direct snap to him. He reads the block that goes inside and gets outside and gets into the end zone, Tom.
When that can happen, that's very discouraging for a defense, as you know. When he can do that, it creates a lot of problems for the defense.
Let's talk about Quentin Martin. Gets north and south, and you're going to love the way this guy picks up extra yards.
Well, that's the one thing about him that's very impressive. As you watch him game in and game out, there's those hidden, they call them hidden yards. You know, no one figures what he does, but he makes people miss.
Let's talk quickly about some of the defensive guys. Linebacker use, some new linebackers coming in from Iowa State. Rojas returns from injury for Penn State. Cooper Abel and Caleb Bacon are both big guys. I mean, they're big, rangy guys in the 240 range. Bacon is going to move to edge, much like Abdul Carter, because he has the ability to rush the passer. And then the space eaters up front we talked about earlier on, and Dantlin loves the big guys. These are 4 transfers from Utah, UCLA, and elsewhere, and Oklahoma State. And you look at the average size, 6'3", 320. Todd, they don't only eat space. I think they eat a lot of beef.
Good thing they have a new complex to feed all those guys. Thanks, coaches. Of course, the roster isn't the only thing changing. West Shore home field at Beaver Stadium continues to undergo a multi-year renovation. When fans arrive at Beaver Stadium for the game, they'll notice the progress made in the revitalization project. Construction started in May of 2024. $700 million renovation. It's due to be completed by the start of next football season. Improvements on the west side of the stadium include upgrades to the seating bowl and concourses, along with premium seating options.
The big focus between the end of last season and this season really was to complete the vertical structure of the building. So now we have our entire upper concourse complete, our seating in place, and really getting all of that ready for this season. The remaining focus is kind of our other interior and exterior areas. So once we were able to kind of get all that built up and out this year, now we'll focus on enclosing the building. As you can see, we're starting to get that done now. Followed by finishes and getting suites and areas ready for the 2027 season.
A great view from way up top on the west side. The 2026 home opener is 1 week away.
The old school feel that this town has, the nostalgic feel that the town has for only being here 8 months or whatever, it's got such a cozy, welcoming, family, authentic feel to the town. It feels like everything's been here for a long time.
That is Penn State's new offensive coordinator, Taylor Mouser. I chatted with him about making the transition to Happy Valley and the impact he expects to make with the new look offense this season. As we head to a quick break, check out this week's Members First Pride Picks. You can submit yours at nittany-game-week.com.
Pride Picks are sponsored by Members First Federal Credit Union. We put our members first.
Okay, class. Now who can tell me what this stands for?
Home Equity Line of Credit.
Yes, it's like borrowing from the part of your house that's already paid off.
I bet you didn't know HELOC is a verb.
HELOC is not a verb.
Oh, sure it is. You can HELOC a new pool, you can HELOC your kid through college, you can even HELOC an emergency fund.
That still doesn't make it a verb.
Says the person who's teaching the class on adulting.
Well, you can HELOC yourself down to the principal's office.
And welcome back. It's one of those classic how did you meet stories. Matt Campbell was in his second year as the head coach at the University of Toledo. Taylor Mouser was looking for a coaching job and working at a Little Caesars in Chandler, Arizona at the very same time. Fast forward to today, had some one-on-one time with Penn State's new offensive coordinator, and he tells us how he's getting acclimated to his new players and his new home. What are some of the things that, this age group, I have college-age kids, all that type of deal, that you appreciate being around them every single day, Coach?
Yeah, I think the authenticity and just how different all the kids are and what their hobbies and interests are. Everybody's got their own unique quirks and Netflix shows that they like to watch and video games that they like to play. It's funny, I grew up in an era where, me and my friends played video games. You didn't have all the online stuff, and you had to get around all your buddies to play each other and connect all the cords. And these guys still like to do all that stuff, but they're playing, different games, and make fun of them for being, nerds on some of that stuff. But I think just the way that they come to the facility every day and make me, being older, feel like I'm not, and just the energy that they show up with, and the spirit that those guys have about them.
So you appreciate the guys that you're around. What about the university? You've been here long enough to kind of appreciate State College and Penn State. What are some of the things that you're getting comfortable with and you're starting to appreciate around here?
The old school feel that this town has, the nostalgic feel that the town has for only being here 8 months or whatever. It's got such a cozy, welcoming, family, authentic feel to the town. It feels like everything's been here for a long time. I grew up in a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, where everything was chain restaurant for the most part, and it took forever to get anywhere. Me and a lot of the coaches, we go on walks every day during the spring, and we just go through campus, and we just see, where people are going, what people are doing, where people are eating at, and trying new stuff. So I think just how unique everything is. Everything looks a little bit different. It's got a very welcoming feel to the campus, and I like the pace that this has. There's an East Coast pace out here for a small town where people have agendas and they're going someplace, but they're very courteous as well. My wife loves it here. Our family loves it here. There's great stuff for kids. There's festivals every weekend, which is awesome. We go to Wing Fest every week, the last couple weeks, and Art Fest and stuff around town. So we have so much fun. We got a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old. We can take them to those places, and they can run around, and you can watch them have fun, and you have a kind of that old school feel that I feel like I grew up with, in the early 90s, where it's a little bit cut from an old school cloth here.
Ultimately, you're going to start talking about the offense, though, right? I mean, you're here to do the job offensively. How comfortable are you starting to get with the personnel and the weapons that you have to deploy? You're familiar with the guys that came with you guys from Iowa State, but now you're starting to get that closer look as camp begins of the guys that returned and even some of the newer guys.
Yeah, I certainly feel like a lot more of that happened over summer than even in spring ball. We had so many people hurt during spring. Half of our offense was out during spring, which was good because you got to see some other people maybe you haven't seen, or whether you came from Iowa State or somewhere else, Brock Reichard, you got to see those guys play. And then over the summer, we were able to build that continuity and build the chemistry with those guys where we could put them in stressful walkthrough situations. Even though there's not helmets and pads and football, you could still make those guys have to communicate because it's all about connection. If we're going to have a good football team, they have to be really well connected. They have to have great chemistry. And we could build that over the summer. So it was awesome to see those guys grow and fail together and then come back and have success together and then fail again and just take those steps you need to take, because we don't have the benefit of having all those failed experiences where you guys can link arms together. And to grow, you have to, overcome your failures together as a group and be connected. So it was great to see some of those guys, regardless of what school, grow through the summer and then be able to hit the ground running, because nobody cares. It's our first year. We have to come in here and be able to have success on offense. And you don't want to have to start from ground zero when you get to fall camp, and we haven't. And probably had our best 2 days of practice since I've been here the last 2 days.
Fun conversation with Coach Mouser. Looking forward to seeing his offense in action. Make sure to go to nittany-game-week.com for the entire conversation, along with other web-exclusive content. Football's not the only PSU squad up and running in the fall. We'll be keeping tabs on the other teams wearing the blue and white. Here's Lauren Bradford with the latest on a program ready to compete on the national level again.
Yeah, Todd, it's only been 2 years since Penn State women's volleyball brought home the program's 8th national championship, and they're still getting that champion treatment. This season, the Nittany Lions will represent the sport on some of the biggest stages across America. And it all starts game one as Penn State opens their season with Spikes Under the Lights, a historic one-night college volleyball showcase in the home of the Dallas Cowboys' AT&T Stadium. Then they'll head up to Chicago for the Big Ten SEC Challenge, taking on reigning NCAA runners-up Kentucky under the lights of historic Wrigley Field. Back to Pennsylvania, but not to Rec Hall. Two of the most successful programs will meet in a venue no stranger to unforgettable moments as the Nittany Lions take on Stanford in the Palestra, a trio of opportunities that are bigger than the players could have ever dreamed of.
This is all unimaginable. I would have never thought when I was watching college volleyball growing up that we would be playing in NFL stadiums or MLB stadiums. It really is an honor. I mean, the girls that came before us through this program have set such a high standard, and the tradition that this program has, I mean, we deserve to represent it at this level.
The Nittany Lions will be sure to embrace these opportunities while trying to pick up some big wins early this season to set the stage for another championship run. But volleyball isn't the only fall sport looking to bring home some bling this year. It's a new era for Penn State men's soccer, ushering in a whole new look. The Nittany Lions saw a change in leadership this offseason, bringing in championship caliber coaching in Rob Dow, and he flipped this roster upside down, bringing in 19 new faces, all hoping to bring championships back to Penn State.
Lauren, thanks very much. Don't go anywhere. Still to come, Tom hands out his scrap medal as we recognize a former PSU standout, calling it a career. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State Football.
20 years ago, West Shore Home made a promise to homeowners: make home remodeling easy. To do that, we had to fix a system that had been broken for years. We had to reimagine an entire industry. So we did. We send our own employee installers, not subcontractors. Every one of them trained by us and held to our standards. One team, one mission, one promise to do it right. That's remodeling reimagined.
Honey, I'm going to the store.
We need more coffee. Don't forget, Addie needs new soccer gear. You grabbed the art supplies Micah needs, right?
When it feels like you're doing everything for everyone, do something for yourself with the Members First Signature Rewards Card.
Did you book the hotel?
5 stars, paid with rewards.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Had to bring back the scrap metal, and we start by honoring a former Nittany Lion, calling it a career.
This is the most famous catch wearing the blue and white. October 12th, 2013. Allen Robinson grabs a 36-yard catch with only 27 seconds left in regulation. It sets up Penn State at the 1-yard line. They score to tie the game and force an overtime where they outlast the Wolverines in 4 overtimes almost 13 years later. Robinson announces his retirement from the NFL. Fantastic career for Allen, worthy of our Scrap Metal Award.
It's trivia time. This week's question: Matt Campbell makes his Penn State head coaching debut next week against Marshall, 60 years after Joe Paterno made his head coaching debut in 1966. What team did Penn State beat in that 1966 opener? Our winner will get a 4-pack of Herlocker's Dipping Mustard and a copy of the book Blitz signed by me.
One of the things you can do is submit your answers to the trivia question at our website. So make sure to check out nittany-game-week.com for all of our web exclusive content, airtimes for all of our network of stations, previous episodes and interviews, the Nittany Game Week podcast that can all be found one convenient location, nittany-game-week.com. So there you have it. Week 1 is in the books for Jay and Tom. I'm Todd. We'll leave you with a look at the team's annual summer fundraiser, the 23rd Lift for Life, raising $40,000 to support rare disease research. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.